Again with the podcasting gear. Why am I talking about a mic that's aimed at podcasting when I primarily do voiceover work? And why should you care about it? Give me a few minutes of your time and allow me to do a very unfair comparison, and you can be the judge. See you on the other side of the bumper.
Attention! Stand at ease!
How you doing, everybody? Andrew Scott, and you are back, of course, at Booth Camp. It's been a hot minute. I've been busy with all this business in here. But I've got something that I want to talk to you about today, and I got something that I want to show you. Or more correctly, I got something that I want you to hear. Now, of course, as a voiceover professional, me, and you probably, are mostly concerned with microphones. But Maono, the company most famous for their friendly priced podcast deck, reached out to me and asked me if I wanted to test out one of their mics. And I said, sure, just so long as you play by my rules. Now, full disclosure, Maono did send me this directly. I didn't have to pay for it, and I am allowed to keep the unit. But they get absolutely no editorial consideration in this video. They don't get any other kind of say when it comes to how I present this microphone, and they don't get to see this video before you do. You're seeing it at the same time they're seeing it. All the opinions are my own, but I do get to keep the unit. So thank you to Maono for sending this along, and let's talk about it. Now, as I said, microphones are really important to us in the voiceover business, okay? That's kind of obvious. And you've heard me talk about price points and value for dollar, and Maono is known for trying to make high-quality equipment affordable to the people who are just starting out. And what they sent me was their PM500 condenser microphone. Now, if you've had any experience with Maono microphones in the past, you probably know that they suffered from a number of problems. Quality was not really one of the problems that they suffered in unless you're talking about quality of recorded fidelity. Their microphones in the past were pretty underpowered and definitely underserved the people that they were trying to support by way of equipment. Now, no fault to Maono, they are trying to build up their business, and they started with something that they felt was good, and they learned from customer feedback, which is always awesome in a manufacturer, and we don't always get that, and they've really taken it a step further with their new PM500. Now, if you've either used or owned one of their previous mics, you understand that the primary problem with that microphone that you might or might not have had was the size of the capsule. Their initial wave of microphones, and the one that was most available to the world, was a 16 millimeter diaphragm. Now, that's really small for a condenser microphone. The new PM500 has almost 4.5 times the size of diaphragm. The PM500 has a 34 millimeter. That's a nice big diaphragm inside this microphone. So a number of other things that they've included by way of this new PM500 really comes down to functionality, aesthetic, and build quality. Their earlier attempts at microphones were pretty, how can I say this politely? Yeah, I won't. You know what I'm talking about, right? The PM500 is a beefy boy. I didn't put it on a scale. I might actually, and if I do, I'll put the number up here. But this thing in your hand feels like it weighs almost a pound, which for a condenser microphone of this footprint, of this form factor, is pretty impressive. And you'll see here, this thing, the cage is all metal. It is very nicely manufactured. It's very nicely powder coated. And, honestly, the thing just looks more durable. It looks more like what it's trying to be when it grows up, which is a step forward for Maono. And, thumbs up to them. Oh, actually, I should probably do that. Thumbs up to them. Yeah, nice job. When it comes to the rest of the build quality, you can tell where they're economizing. The shock mount is plastic. It's good plastic. It seems to be a high-impact plastic, maybe a PAL plastic or something like that. The shock mount itself is all custom, so don't think that you could get this microphone and put it in, a Neumann or a Shure cage or something like that. It's probably not going to work. But the other thing that they thought to include with this, which gets another big thumbs up from me, is a built-in plosive screen. It is designed, and I don't know if you can see it here. I'll put a better picture up there. It is designed with the form factor of the PM500 in mind, much the same way as the unfair comparison, which is my Lewitt 441 Flex. Now, the shock mount of the Maono is, a standard kind of hair rubber band thing, but I will say that it lacks a little bit by way of parts. There are a few metal grommets on the end of these things. I guess if they were shoelaces, we'd call them aglets. Yeah, I know that word. Yeah. And so you're back to this thing where if for some reason you ever pop a rubber band on this thing, you'll probably have to get in touch with Maono and have them send you a replacement or two. And it might actually not be a bad thing to bank some of these things, for future proofing. But the other thing, and I don't really talk a lot about shock mounts, and that's because, in my opinion, if you're a professional voice actor, shock mounts really aren't that important. Why are you manhandling your microphone, or woman handling your microphone, or handling your microphone? You shouldn't be. So shock mounts to me aren't that important. They're vastly more important if you're doing things like podcasting where you're, moving your arm around and things like that, or if you're doing a lot of hard contact on the surface that is supporting your microphone. Now, that brings me to another point. This microphone is really aimed at podcasters, and it comes with a rather nice desk stand. And the bottom round foot of it is made out of either pig iron or some kind of heavy coarse metal. And it's got some weight to it. I mean, it will hold the thing in place. If you don't have the luxury of either a nice boom arm like this or a spring arm or something like that, this will allow you to put this microphone on a desk. And it does have a shock mount, so it will be diminishing some of the impact noise of, putting your elbow on the table or things like that. The kit is pretty nicely appointed by way of the things that you'll need. And honestly, if you look at the mic, it kind of looks like it's trying to be another mic. And that is any of the Lewitt lines of condenser microphones. The form factor is very similar. The profile, the visible profile of it is rather similar to the Lewitt 441 and just the entire Lewitt line, frankly. Now, the main difference between this and my Lewitt 441 Flex is the 441 Flex is a flexible pattern pickup microphone. I can dial it in, in any of a number of different ways. The Maono is just a condenser microphone. It is a decent heart-shaped cardioid microphone, and aside from that, the differences are mostly by way of ergonomics and form factor. The PM500 is noticeably bigger, so it has a little bit more presence in front of you. The Lewitt microphones are a lot of people's favorites, primarily because of their size. They pack a big punch for a small microphone. But I digress. I'm going to get back to the pop filter on the Maono. So I've covered some of the things that are slightly lower in quality about the PM500. But now I'm going to talk about some of the things that I really like and some of the things that actually you should be considering. As I said earlier, the PM500 has a built-in plosive screen, like the Lewitt. But I gotta say, it outperforms the Lewitt. One of the things that I really didn't like about the Lewitt pop filter integration was that the pop filter was way too close to the diaphragm of the microphone. So you could very easily pop that Lewitt, and most Lewitts with the built-in screen, because the screen is just way too close. It's like less than a centimeter away from the cage of the microphone. No matter what kind of pop filter you have, if it's that close to the diaphragm, you're gonna pop that thing. The Maono is really hard to pop. I'm very impressed with its plosive rejection abilities. Part of the reason why is because it's a good inch off that screen. It's a good inch off the cage of the microphone, and it's easily an inch and a half away from the diaphragm. And with a 34 mil diaphragm, air is going to affect it. So big thumbs up to Maono for realizing that distance from the diaphragm makes a difference. So I'm not going to go on and on about specs and frequency curves. Just know that the PM500 is designed really in much the same way as most other microphones of the condenser category are. Its sensitivity is from about 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz, so that's pretty average. It does have pretty decent signal to noise ratio though. And I'll put the specs up here so you can have a quick look at it, and they'll also be down in the show notes there. But overall, this is a very impressive microphone. And it's even more impressive when you consider that they're really aiming it towards podcasters. Now, to speak to this a little bit, yeah, podcasters, this is really something for you to think about. This mic surprised me out of the box when I plugged it into my Rodecaster Pro 2 deck with no effects, and was just absolutely sat back in my seat by the quality of the microphone. It is very easy to achieve that iconic broadcaster sound with this microphone. It's also easy to see why this would have some appeal to the podcast world. Not everybody wants boom arms on their desk or in their face. Not everybody has the ability to have a permanent podcasting station or setup. So being able to collapse this, tuck it away, and bring it out when you need it and very quickly set it up, yeah, there's some appeal to that by way of, podcasting and its applications. But I'm really more interested in it from a voiceover point of view. Now, you might ask yourself, why, if it's aimed at podcasting? But I always look at every microphone that comes into my view as, can this be used for voiceover? And I'm not going to make you wait for the answer. It most certainly can. And now, as we've gotten through this video, I've been switching back and forth between the Maono Pm500 and the Lewitt 441 Flex. And I'm wondering if you can tell the difference. If you can tell the difference, hit me down in the comments below. I'd really like to know. But above and beyond whether or not your ear is so well tuned that you can hear the difference in microphones, let me pose a question to you. Does the difference in the audio justify the difference in price between these two microphones? Now, before I go on, obviously, the Lewitt 441 Flex is going to cost more because it does more. It's, 8 or so patterns worth of microphone to choose from. It's a bigger name microphone, and bigger names can charge bigger money, I guess. But is that always a good thing? What happens if you're just starting out and you just need a decent microphone? What happens if you don't have the ability to have a full-time 24/7 voiceover setup and you're just trying to narrate a simple audiobook and need to do it at your kitchen table or in your closet where you don't have room for a boom arm or a stand or something like that? But you do have the ability to set up a small microphone right in front of you. I'm going to say this. I would not hesitate to use this microphone for a national spot. That's how good it is. And when you're talking price, you're getting a lot for your money with the PM500. It has thoroughly impressed me. I don't know if it's thoroughly impressed you. I'd like to know. So again, hit me down in the comments. But also, join us on our Discord server. Come hang out with the Booth Camp crowd. We're all talking microphones. We're all talking booths. We're all talking voiceover. And we'd love it if you'd join us. Could you tell the difference? Does the difference matter? When it comes to the PM500, I'll leave it up to you, but I know what my decision is. Oh, by the way, now that you know which microphone is which, let me demonstrate the plosive rejection of this screen. Here's the Lewitt 441 Flex. Please pick up pizzas pronto. Now, here's the Maono Pm500, same distance away. Please pick up pizzas pronto. That's worth something. But until next time, everybody, I'm Andrew Scott. You've been at Booth Camp. See you later, everybody. Bye-bye. Reached out and asked me if I wanted to try out one of their I bit my own tongue. Voiceover professional. I talk for a living. And I injure myself all the time. Ow.
Dismissed.